Welcome to Section 2. This is fast births. A lot of good information in this. Sometimes fast births happen. So when a baby is about to be born in an emergency situation, there's a lot of decisions to be made very quickly. In this section, we'll answer the questions, what should I do before the delivery? What should I do during the delivery? And what should I do after the delivery?
We're going to talk about fast birth. This is one particular type of scenario that you're going to run into. And you just never know. You know, I hear stories all the time of women giving birth on the bathroom floor and so forth. A lady just down the street from me did that last year, okay? Total shock, okay? Or especially second-time parents who the first labor was really long and took a long time, and the next one went really fast and they were caught off guard and couldn't quite make it to the hospital, or their midwife couldn't get there, or whatever. I even missed a birth a couple of weeks ago, and I very, very rarely ever miss one, from someone who had had epidurals with all of her previous births, didn't really realize when she was being extremely active in labor, and her husband ended up delivering the baby, and he just loved it. It was a wonderful experience for him. I guess my attitude has always been, well, if I'm needed, I'll be there. and I think that's kind of the attitude that you need to take as people helping out in situations. If there's something I can do to help, then I am going to be there, and I am going to be helpful. And anyway, there's an article that I got off the internet from a certified nurse midwife. I think it's on Health Day. Health Day is the name of the website, and it's on emergency birth. And this is for fast birth. And so I'm going to go kind of through this, and we're going to see if we know exactly what we should be doing, okay? It says it doesn't just happen in the movies. Sometimes babies really are born in taxis and on trains, even in the hospital parking lot. Rapid labor is most common in women who have given birth quickly in the past, have given birth several times before, or have previously gone into labor prematurely. In other words, if they're one that contracts and stops and contracts and stops, they don't really, it's hard for them to tell when it's the real thing, okay? And so they miss it a little bit. She says the first rule of thumb is stay calm and call 911. Well, you know, of course I wouldn't call 911, but but you know, if that's what the parents want to do and whatever, call them. But I carry oxygen for resuscitation, although oxygen isn't used very much anymore. We'll talk about that on how to resuscitate babies. But anyway, actually EMT training is not very thorough. The training that you're going to get today is better than any EMT. So, so they just don't have enough training, I would say. Because in an emergency situation, and this is a fast birth, basically what you need to do is put your hands out and catch the baby, or the mother put her hands out and catch the baby herself. It is not a hard thing. She says, there is no way to tell how long the pushing stage of childbirth will last, but there are some signs that the baby is definitely on the way. Regular contractions are occurring less than 2 minutes apart. That's time from beginning to end. The woman feels an overwhelming urge to push or move her bowels. The mother says, I can feel the baby coming now. You can see the top of the baby's head, okay? Now, just one thing about the top of the head, and we'll talk about this later. I'll ask you to see if you got this. You need to be, when you're helping someone have a baby, you need to be eagle eyes, observant, figure out exactly what's going on. And when the baby starts to crown and you start to see that baby's head, You look at the color of the head, observe it, okay? If it's pink, you know the baby is oxygenating well. If it's a little purple, the baby's still doing well. If it's really super white, like paste, okay, the baby is not doing well, okay? And you need to facilitate the birth and get the baby out faster. So anyway, be observant. Okay, what should I do before the delivery? Well, we know, we're just all keyed in that we need to have our emergency bag. And I have an emergency bag that we're going to use, that red bag down there, okay, for our fast birth that we're going to have. Don't try to move the mother if the birth seems imminent. And so what do you want to do? Put her on the bed or somewhere else, put some plastic under her. We're going to deliver her on 2 chairs, okay? Is how we're going to do it. And it says, first call the mother's doctor or midwife for emergency instructions. Now, I think sometimes it's hard to get through to a doctor. If you can't get through, then call 911 and they will give you, just hope the dispatcher knows more than you do, okay? I'm just laughing about that, tying the cord. But I have missed a few births in my life, okay? I'll tell you one, a couple probably before we get through here. But I just have them call me on the phone, put me on speaker, okay? And I will talk them through it. So that works. So this is good advice. Call someone, okay, if you have that opportunity. Unlock your front door so that someone could come in to help you if you want to. One of my good friends, Gloria Chase, who I just love dearly, one day she got a phone call and someone was kind of groaning on the other end, and she thought, this may be a prank call, but I'll hold on a little bit longer, okay? And it was a lady down the street, actually her bishop's wife. She called Gloria because Gloria was into natural health. She knew natural remedies and so forth. And she was having a baby right then, and she had no one in the house. So Gloria ran over there and helped her, and then she said, you know, I decided I didn't know enough about this. I better train to be a midwife. And so I trained her as a midwife. This is years ago, and it may happen to you. That phone call may be for help from someone that needs down the street. Well, anyway, so once the head emerges, what are you going to do? Check for a cord. Check for a cord once the head comes out. And also, you're going to look, this observant eagle eye thing, okay? The baby being born in the sac. If the baby is born in the sac, you need to take the sac, just take your hand and rip it off the face, because the baby has to be able to breathe. And if the sac is right there, that is not going to work. And I had that experience not too many months ago where the baby was born in the sac, and born in the sac is traditional, like in the American Indian culture, is that the baby is going to be a sage, okay, a very wise person. So people really like to sometimes have their babies born in the caul, is what it's called, okay. And I don't particularly care for that, but you need to watch and rip it off. Sometimes you have to be aggressive. For instance, in this instant, okay, the father was doing the delivery and did not want me or anyone interfering with it. Another midwife stepped in there and broke the sac off the baby's face. But sometimes you have to be a little aggressive to get done what has to be done, because that is critical, okay? Don't you think? Critical. That's a critical thing.
I've read that what causes the baby or triggers the baby to breathe is feeling the oxygen on their face. So if they are born on call, are they at risk of really suffocating since they don't have that oxygen on their face?
Okay, the question was just asked about the stimulating the baby to breathe with oxygen on the face, and if the sac is over it, it's not going to happen.
It's still intact.
Yeah, if it's still in the sac. There are several different things that cause a baby to breathe. Okay. One is when the baby is in the vagina, in the birth canal, and it's coming out. Its chest gets squeezed, okay? It's squeezed down in here, so the chest is squeezed, okay? And the head comes out, and then the body comes out, and the chest expands. And that sucks air into the area, and usually the baby is going to take a breath, okay? If they're underwater, they usually will not breathe, but if they are severely stressed when that happens, sometimes they will do it. We'll talk more about that later. Oh, she has here a word of warning. The baby will be very slippery when here she comes out, so be ready to hold the baby firmly but gently with a clean towel or other material. I use a birthing stool, and I love the birthing stools, okay? But I have the dads deliver a lot of the time, okay? And I used to have a taller birthing stool. And the reason why I went to, not a real short one, it's about like this, okay? I went to about this was that many times dads were not used to it, and the babies would be slippery, and they'd end up on the floor. But, you know, the babies are fine, but it's just a little embarrassing. But if they only have to drop this far, they're fine. So that's what you're going to be doing, is holding a towel and getting ready and support for the mother. And what should I do after the delivery? When the birth is complete, hold the baby with the head slightly lower. This is the advice she gives, and this is not bad. So the fluid or mucus, I put the baby to the side if you're holding the baby down, so it comes out. And, you know, if the baby is gasping on mucus, use a clean cloth. You could take a washcloth and wash out if you didn't have a bulb suctioner. If the baby doesn't breathe, start breathing within 30 seconds, stroke the soles of the feet and rub the back. Well, we're going to talk about this, and you're going to be better informed on what to do. Encourage the mother to nurse the baby right away. This is very important, okay, because that helps give her cramps, and she'll feel like delivering the placenta, pushing the placenta out. If the placenta comes out before emergency help arrives or before you reach the hospital, handle it as carefully and as little as possible. Wrap it in a newspaper or garbage bag and save it for a doctor to examine later. We are going to examine a placenta today. Massage the mother's belly firmly to keep the uterus contracted. That's very important, okay? In other words, you don't want that uterus to be boggy. And if emergency help does not arrive before the placenta delivers, there are some measures you can take to make the mother more comfortable. In ice pack, whatever, cloth. Then she has the question, should I cut the umbilical cord? You know it's a no, if we didn't have to do that earlier. What things should I be careful about during and after delivery? Try not to interfere with the birth. I suppose that is good. Sometimes just hands off is the best thing, and support the mother and catch the emerging babies. Keep your hands outside the birth canal. Well, don't pull on your baby's head or body or the umbilical cord. We'll talk about this. Sometimes you do need to pull on a baby. In other words, you're not going to let it get stuck in there. It's going to die on you, okay? Okay, how do you prepare for an emergency childbirth? It suggests taking CPR classes, okay? And I suggest that as you put your birth teams together, and we'll talk about that, taking CPR is really good. Neonatal resuscitation is better. Most of it is just for in-hospital, so you have to pick and choose your class. Take a childbirth education class. I suggest that you all take doula classes. That'd be a good thing for you to do. Okay, I'm going to read this, another one of my Yahoo News things, okay? Surprise! Baby born on New York City sidewalk. It's no secret that trying to hail a cab during rush hour in New York City is a thankless task. But one would think that a woman in labor trying to get to the hospital would be an exception. Not so for New Yorker Polly McCourt, who delivered her baby on a city sidewalk Monday after another woman stole her cab. He was trying desperately to hail a cab, McCourt said, 39, said of the doorman of her Manhattan building, who came to her aid after she went into labor around 4 p.m. while inside her family apartment. A lady walked out 5 minutes in front and hailed the cab and got into it. McCourt told local reporters from her hospital bed, "I went. No, that's my cab." With the baby well on its way, McCourt told the doorman, identified by the New York Daily News as Anton Rudovic, that she was not going to make it to the hospital. "I turned around and said, I need to actually sit down," she recalled. McCourt in labor on the sidewalk, propped up by Ruderick, strangers came to her aid. In video captured by nearby cameras, a crowd can be seen gathering around McCourt, with some strangers giving their scarves to help her stay warm in the chilly weather. Paramedics arrived just in time to pull the baby out and take McCourt to a nearby hospital, where both mom and baby were doing fine. "She's a real New Yorker," McCourt said of her daughter, whom she named Isla Isabella. "She's born on the streets of New York." McCourt's daughter will always know, too, of the generosity that brought her into the world, thanks to her middle name. McCourt said she had planned to give her daughter the middle name of Polly, but instead changed it to Isabella after a woman who gave McCourt the coat off her back to stay warm. That brings little tears to my eyes. Okay. "I'm getting emotional just thinking about it," McCourt said. Isla Isabella is the third child for McCourt and her husband, Sion McCourt, who was stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel during his wife's surprise delivery and arrived at their home minutes after his daughter's birth, according to the Daily News. Now, what good thing did that passerby do? She gave her a coat to keep her warm, okay? Very important principle, because if a baby loses temperature, is going to go into acidosis and it's going to have trouble breathing. It isn't just, oh, the baby needs to be kept warm. It needs to be kept warm because you need to keep the baby breathing. Now, I have a couple who lived in New York with their last baby. I delivered a couple before that, and they're back in Utah again, but they ended up delivering their last baby by themselves because she didn't realize she was going too fast, and her midwife was across a bridge in New York, and the traffic was stuck on the bridge. But she had a friend that was there. And this is what I say, get inspiration as far as helping at the birth. She had a friend who was there, and the friend, I think the night before, had a dream. She had a dream that the baby was born in the call with the thing, and that she took it and took the skin off of the face, okay? And guess what happened? That is precisely what happened. In other words, those grandmummies on the other side that we love so much, okay, and love us so much, are going to be inspiring us. Just open up that conduit, okay, and they will help us know. And as I say, she hadn't had this wonderful training. She didn't know that that's what she was supposed to do, but she was told ahead of time, okay, that that's what she needed to do. One other thing I just need to say about supplies, because we're going to do that, is that we do have at sunstoneformulas.com, we do have a starter kit, because some things are really hard to find. And it has a bulb syringe, it has 3 cord clamps, it has a scalpel, it has a couple pair of mist panties. Those are hard to find, okay? Some green soap for disinfectant. It has 4 diaper pins. Now, the reason the diaper pins are on for making up the bed, we'll talk about that later. And it has a peri bottle. But these are harder to find supplies, and anyway, I think they cost $20. Let's go over and we're going to do our birth, okay? Our fast birth. This is the fast birth, okay? No time to think about anything. Just do it. Now, this is the emergency bag, okay? In this wonderful Office Depot Office Max bag, okay? that this family put together in case there was an emergency. And guess what? Okay, this is sister. I'm giving you the bag, okay? I'd start by taking one of the plastic bags and sticking it under her, so you're protecting the floor. And Mom, if you look in there and see if you can find a wash rag and just put it on that chair, because we're going to put the, you guys have to work fast. She's a hopping and popping. Now, you'll want to put a washcloth or even some plastic, okay? Maybe we messed up and didn't have
I don't
one.
see a washcloth. There's chucks here.
Okay, then use what you have. Use a plastic bag. Put it on this chair, okay? I would use one of the black ones because you want something that hasn't been used before. Just stick it on the chair. And then if you'll find the cord clamps and the scalpel and your bulb syringe and put them out on this chair. Now, you'll need to take it out of the paper, because when you, you know, if you have to rumble and whatever, that's a scalpel. And at least 2 cord clamps, okay? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now, we need a little huffing and puffing here.
You want me to scream like I actually did in my birth? Christy, this is happening fast, like right now.
Do you feel like it's imminent?
Oh, it's happening right
Okay.
now.
Take some deep breaths.
Okay.
Okay, what about some towels, sister? If you got the towels? Okay.
Do you want me to deliver my own child?
Here it comes, here it
I can
comes.
feel the head, I can feel the head.
Okay, just a minute now. Just breathe deep and let me feel up here for the cord. Okay, the cord is okay.
All right,
Are you
baby's
ready to
coming
push?
out. Yep.
Okay.
Shoulders, here we go. Ow!
Okay, now, you can't take it too far.
From
You
the
have
mother,
to, from the mother, because we've got a cord still
Okay.
attached. And this is really an important point, is that you're going to put the baby up on the mother, but you can only take it as far as the cord will stretch. So that is eyes, you're being observant, and eagle eyes, you'll know. Okay. We have a long cord
Now
here.
we got to get that towel off and get a dry one on.
Now, find a plastic
Lean in
bag.
against you.
Find a plastic,
Let 'em
just something to put the placenta in.
Here it comes. Whoop.
Okay, then you can kind of tie it at the top of the bag, You, and just put it right there at the side, so it's close, okay? And then you can do the rest of it. It's really nice when people that have fast births, you don't really need to worry about it, okay? Those are not the hard births to take care of. It's basically put your hands out with a towel, put it up on the baby, on the mom, and get the placenta and so forth. Okay, that's it.
Made that job way
Maybe you
Now,
really
we
didn't want
didn't-
me to open all those. I'm sorry.
No, that's just exactly what we should have done, okay?
Okay.
Because if they're closed, you waste a lot of time.
They're
Okay.
they're hard to open anyway, to separate the little,
Yeah, it's hard.
yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, let's have a break.
That's good.